Hey guys, thanks for clicking play. We are going to be talking about what I have planned for my 11th grader for the next school year. So, the first thing we're going to talk about is plans for English. So, I'm going to be having a AP language and composition course for my 11th grader. The way that I'm doing that is I'm auditing through College Board. I've talked about this before. If you want to know about that process, I have a blog post written on my blog, ddchomeschool.com. But I'm just going to show you how I'm doing it. So the main spine that we're using is 3 different levels of Oak Meadow. 2 of these are semester and 1 is a year long, and I'm just combining them all together. Something you should know about my student as we get started is that she is a voracious reader. So the amount of reading that we will be having is very substantial. So if you feel like it's too much, don't feel like you're wrong. It is definitely a lot. Sorry, I'm messing with my microphone right now. Hopefully that's not too loud. So the 3 levels that we're doing are the Latin American literature, borders and identity, American literature, the westward journey, and I'm going to show you the books for these next, and then American literature, social transformations. And Oak Meadow sent these to me, which I'm so grateful for. And the reason I had been looking at them is because AP English language involves a lot of looking at how people use language and nonfiction literature. So the books for these 3 levels seem to be like a perfect match for that. So that was why I first became interested in it. And then I reached out to them. And then also they're just like really good books as well, mostly contemporary and like immigrant tales, just really interesting, different lens. And I have a video where I go in depth about these. So if you want to see me or listen to me talk more about these and show you more of what is in these levels, you should look for that video. It was pretty recently, so shouldn't be too hard to find. And these are the books, and they are grouped by theme. Just a couple more. Citizen. I'm getting too close to the lens here. Okay. And I'll put those aside, and then I'll show you quickly the list. So this is the description for American Literature Social Transformations, and here are the books that come with it. And this is all on their website as well. I just happen to have this right here. The Westward Journey. Those are the books in there. And the last one is... Wait, did I already show? Oh, yeah, I did. Okay, Borders and Identity. That's Latin American literature, and I really wanted to do this one for her in particular because she's very interested in anthropology and sociology, and I thought it would just be a good fit. So those are the main literature. That is the main literature curriculum and the main selections that she will be doing in terms of like novels and things like that. I also got the Language of Composition. This is the 3rd edition. There's lots of editions. And, check the AP website before you pick a version to make sure that you're comfortable with what you're getting. It has to be less than 10 years old. This one's from 2018. I got this used on eBay so that it was less expensive. And here you can see like what they did to make it different from the prior version. And so here, this is an example of a thematic chapter overview. I'm just going to adjust my mic real quick. All right. My headphones are all tangly, so it's kind of distracting. So I'll go ahead and show you the overview of the table of contents so you get a better sense of what's in here. So the first chapter is about introducing rhetoric, and it gives you like an overview of the strategies. So for example, appeal to ethos, logos, and pathos, which are like appealing to the emotion of people or to the logic or what have you. And so there's a lot of speeches and things that are a part of AP English language. And yeah, you can see like analyzing an argument, first-hand evidence, shaping an argument, classic oral oration, synthesizing sources, argumentative essay, and then here are, for example, essays about is technology making us dumber. One thing I want to point out is this is probably going to seem random. Khan Academy now has, or it might be one schoolhouse, it's related to Khan Academy, these things called dialogues, which are conversations online about controversial topics, and that's why this made me think of it. And students can participate in these, and they're by theme, and you can submit those now as a portfolio to colleges. So this student is actually doing this, and she really enjoys those types of forums. So if that's something you're interested in, then you can pursue that. I think they're literally called dialogues. And so then we have like education. So his central essay, classic essay, other voices, conversations, the future of high school, pop culture. And so these are essays that, the way that I'm going to be using this textbook is I'll be assigning these different essays and then having her analyze them, which is AP practice, and just trying to do as many as we can. I'm looking at the Malcolm Gladwell thing. Oh, David Brooks. That's really cool. So you could see these are basically all essays that they're reading, right? And analyzing and thinking about. And so that's the difference between AP English language and AP English literature, is that language focuses on the use of language to convey information, whereas literature focuses on literature and literary devices. So there's that. Then let's look at page 1203, which is the practice exam. And here at the end of each chapter, I think they have built-in practice. So that's one of the differences between the newer versions of the text versus the older ones, is they'll just have updated practice. So that's helpful without having to create your own. And here, I think this is already it. Practice. This is AP test practice. Count the verbs. All right, what page did we say it was? 1203, argument strategies. Appendix C, practice AP test. So the first section, multiple choice questions, read this, which is an Emerson essay, and then answer the questions. What does paragraph 1 imply about the speaker's beliefs regarding nature? In the first sentence of paragraph 2, the speaker uses enthusiasm as a rough synonym for. And then this is a second passage, Booker T. Washington, which, by the way, I don't know if I printed it out, but there is a huge overlap with AP African American Studies and AP English Language. So if you are interested in pairing AP courses, I highly recommend those two, because you can really read a lot of speeches and things by famous African American authors and writers. I have writers synonymous for author. Sorry, I meant speaker. This, I think, is a comprehensive exam. And so we've got questions about the shift in tone, or what does he not assume about his audience? What examples does he directly call on the audience's prior experiences and perceptions? And this is actually, ironically, one of the essays that ChatGPT assigned for my student to practice. I'll show you that in a second. Okay, then we have synthesis question. Assignment, read the following sources and accompanying information. Then in an essay that synthesizes at least 3 sources for support, take a position that defends, challenges, or qualifies Sontag's claim that we should view images of violence only when viewing leads to action or knowledge. And so these are examples of sources, and here's the sources that you read. And we're just going through this for our shared knowledge. So you're going to review those quickly, and that you can imagine this would be very challenging under time crunch. So that's why it's really important to practice these things throughout the year. So there's all of those sources. Then we have the next question, an analysis prompt. Read this, then in a well-organized essay, analyze the rhetorical strategies that Lincoln uses to achieve his purpose. So again, rhetorical strategies, you have to practice this, you have to teach this. And then next one we have, where's the question for this one? Take a position on this and discuss pros and cons based on these 2 things. So that is a whole AP language test, and that is the benefit of getting this book if you want to have like a ready to go resource without having to cultivate your own separate prep. And of course, there is the AP Classroom. So that's the textbook we'll be using to do those AP language specific tasks. I'm also going to be using 50 essays. This is the 6th edition. I don't know what edition it currently is in. There are many, many editions of this. I also got this on eBay. So this has the table of contents. Wait, let's see. Oh, this has a weird table of contents. Okay, so it has, oh, I see. It has several different table of contents. So there's by rhetorical mode, by purpose, by theme. So let's go ahead and look at those because I'm interested to see by rhetorical mode. And here it's showing you what's included in here. These are the 50 essays that are in here. So here we go. So these are the rhetorical mode. So narration, description, process analysis, example. And this is one of the resources that's listed on the College Board website, if you're wondering how I decided to get this one. And then here's table of contents by purpose, so personal, expository, argumentative, and then by theme, education, ethics, family, gender, history and politics, identity, media and pop culture, race and culture, reading and writing, thinking, nature and the environment, and work and class. I think that was the last one. Oh, and then here's table of contents by clusters and paired readings. Oh, that's great. I like that. So one of the things that seems to be an effective way to teach how to think about AP language assignments is that I have discovered is read a couple of essays and then compare and contrast them. So this is definitely a table of contents that I'll be consulting. And so here you have like about 15 pages of an introductory material. So like how to track an argument, how to annotate, things like that. And an assignment that we'll be doing is to annotate an essay, and then you have your readings. So this is 50 essays, portable anthology. I'm not completely familiar with it. Like we haven't used it yet, but from everything I've seen, I would recommend it. And then the next one we have, I've alluded to this before. It's called They Say, I Say. So this is like how to teach writing, and there's different versions of this. So there's one that has like hundreds of more pages and it has essays in it for the students to read. But as you can see, like I just got the other essay book. So this is kind of like a how to teach writing, and the They Say, I Say refers to like the source that you're citing says this, whether that's a book or an essay or what have you. And then I say means like what I have to say about it. And there's a couple of different strategies to teach this type of academic writing, but this is something that I particularly wanted to focus on this year with my 3 high schoolers. So that's why I got this. And this is ironically also listed for AP language. I didn't know that till after I got it, so I thought that was funny. So I had ChatGPT create a I don't know what I would call this document, to assign the 50 essays, and then there's a prompt for each one. And I think what my plan was to have these go like every 2 weeks or so. And these are organized by question type. So I think there's 3 different types of questions. So here you can see it's Q2, Q3, Q1. And that just refers to the type of question that's being asked. And then here ChatGPT wrote the AP language and composition skills that are being covered. And if you look at my video where I show the unit guide for this, I don't know if I brought it for this video, but there's a unit guide on the AP language audit page for College Board. It talks about like what is 2A. What does it stand for? And then I created with ChatGPT a 42-week schedule with AP test integration. So I think I did this with the Oak Meadow readings. I might not have. It might just, oh yeah, I did. So like here it says to read this chapter of Girl in Translation on Monday, and to read the language and composition. That's the textbook I showed you. And then Tuesday, write and identify 3 claims from the reading. So it's using the reading either in here or in that book, and then support it with text, and then annotations like we discussed, and then practice developing a body paragraph. And I do have alternatives to peer review, but I am trying to get a group class in the works. So we may end up being able to do some of these things. And then on Friday, a timed claimed based rhetorical paragraph. So one thing that I'm really going to be trying to do, since this is our first year auditing AP classes, is I'm going to try and do as much AP test prep so that when my students are taking the AP test, they're used to doing things under time. They're used to answering these particular types of prompts. So this is like the built-in schedule for those AP test skills. I haven't cross-referenced this at all. So if there's like some weird thing you're seeing and you're like, why did you write that? That is why. But in general, I have found the things that ChatGPT has created to be pretty reliable. We're doing practice in the College Board classroom, and I will have the Kaplan or what have you test books. So these are really only relevant to me for like suggestions, like I'm not relying on ChatGPT to give me questions or anything. Those are just like extra things that I'm building. Okay, so this is AP English Language Quarter 1. So this one is the fleshed out version of this. So the first assignment, for example, is introducing rhetorical analysis and rhetorical situation. So you read chapters 1 and 2 in the textbook. That's what that stands for. And then this is what is contained in there. And then it has like the schedule for practicing writing. This might be the one that's integrated. So this is the outdated one. So I think I made a new one because I have the 2018 one. But anyway, the texts like these, I'm pretty sure are still in this book. But anyway, I have a couple of different things going on, so it might be separate. And then this is just like the writing plan. So I'm trying to see if this is the same thing. This is just writing practice. So I'm trying to have my students do writing every day or at least every week, learning how to do this different level of academic writing. And so I think this is organized by chapter in the textbook. Oh, I see. Okay, so this is my teacher guide, and then this is the student guide. So this is what I would give to my student, and she would do it, and this is like my part. So that is the writing practice. This is for the next thing I'm going to show you. So I'll set that aside. Okay. The last thing about English is I created a summer unit, and it centers on Nickel and Dimed. If you haven't read this, it's a great book. I read it in college, and I also saw a production of the play. And here is the description. Feel free to pause that if you want to read it more in depth. So for her summer reading, instead of just reading it, I decided to build out this little unit with ChatGPT. And so she's going to read the beginning part of it. And it has a TED Talk assigned. And then annotating it, and then you're analyzing her use of these different things, and it's kind of getting you ready. So, see here it has you doing the Amy Tan's essay, if you want to read that, or David Foster Wallace's Consider the Lobster. And it's just kind of like a not too in-depth little summer unit that I built out. And then this is... So that is let me see, summer reading packet. And then it wrote this one separately, which has more to do with the essays in the 50 essays. So I'm not sure if we'll do this or not, but I'm just kind of sharing with you the things that I've been thinking about. And then this is like the student checklist that goes with that. And then this is the teacher packet that goes with that, as well as a grading rubric. I was building a lot of things at once, so some of this stuff on here is kind of overlapping with other courses. So that's kind of the main thing we're doing for English. And then I have some other things on hand I'll just show you. I'm not sure if we will get to all of them this year or not. I have a couple of books from the CMEC, and I have Jane Eyre from Memoria Press. I think I had, oh no, I bought this before, so this one isn't filled out. My older daughter did this, I think last year. I kind of just have some classic stuff like this on hand for my daughter to read. She reads a lot, so I have to have like extras of everything on hand. And I have even more CMEC books I've shown you in hauls before, but we'll kind of just see what happens with that. Next, the other main thing that we have going on is Build Your Library, Level 11, which is World History Part 2. So this, I've shown this before. Let me see if I could just find the week 1. This includes everything. So Build Your Library is a secular, comprehensive, I think Charlotte Mason, like in theory, in terms of like living books and things. I don't know how to describe it, but it does all the subjects. So you've got history, chemistry, literature, history of English, which is different than literature, right? Poetry, and then writing and composition, and then the elective is art. So I have most of the things that are in here, and here's what the high school credits are for this class. I get most of the things, and then it's kind of like whatever she's interested in, she does. So I have this printed from Hard Copy HQ. So for example, one of the books for English is Bill Bryson's Shakespeare. And by the way, he is the author of the Living Science books for Sabbath Mood, if that looks familiar. He's written he's a prolific writer. Here's the back of that. And then The Making of a Poem, Norton Anthology of Poetic Forms. So this, obviously she doesn't need any more English, but we haven't done as in-depth of a poetry study with her other than this, so this will be hers for that. And then I'll just show you the living history books that go with this. I've shown these before in and this is, I think this is a CMEC book. I don't think this is a Build Your Library book. I've shown them in my literature hauls, so I'm not going to go too in depth on these. If you want to see all the books, check out the literature-based unboxing. That's where I spend a lot more time focusing on these books. These are the two main history spines for year 11. I might need to replace these because she said looking at this text gives her a headache. So I may be replacing it. And if I do, of course, I'll tell you what I'm using. Let's just quickly go through all the books. And I, in the video, was like, I don't know who this book's for. These are all for Build Your Library. So I did research that before filming this, in case you saw that. And there's a lot of stuff about North Korea, which I find very interesting, that is a part of 11th grade. And there is one book that's, oh, here's another poetry book. I'll put that over here. There is another book I couldn't find, which is like something about Golden Mountain, which I think is about Chinese Americans. Like, whoops, drop that. Let me grab that. Right, and this one I've actually read. Okay, so that is, I think, all of the history books for Build Your Library Year 11, as well as literature. Like you could see some of these are like novels. So there's a separate world history track, and then there's like a literature track, and then history of English literature. Kind of similar to like what you do in Ambleside, except it's like more, I think, contemporary choices. This was my student who did Ambleside in 7th and 8th grade and liked it. And she's done Build Your Library. She's doing it this year for 10th grade, and she did it in 7th grade and liked it. So highly recommend Build Your Library. Okay, next, probably the most exciting other thing I have planned is AP African American History. I did get this brand new 2025 version of the textbook. I haven't done a side-by-side comparison, but from what I can glean, I don't think this has been adopted yet. So the prior textbook, which is also called Freedom on My Mind, that book was written before they created the AP African American Studies course. So that's why it doesn't say AP on it. So this one says AP because they updated it after it became adopted. So the reason I decided to purchase this is because it has that built-in, as you can see, AP exam practice. And I felt that it would be easier, since I'm not as familiar with the content in this course, to have it already built in. And then there's no like need for second guessing or, reinventing the wheel versus something like English language or English literature, which I'm more familiar with the underlying texts. So this is the table of contents. And as you can see, it says like all this AP stuff everywhere. So that was why I went ahead and got this. And thank you to, you know who you are on Instagram, who let me know that you could find this on eBay and AbeBooks. I got this for like $30, which is amazing because this is like hundreds of dollars brand new. So there were several copies when I got mine. So if you haven't gotten it yet, go find it. But I'm just really excited to have this. It's like such a gorgeous, amazing textbook. The underlying topics that are in this class are interdisciplinary and very interesting and really great for anyone to learn, but especially my daughter is very interested in like humanities, sociology, anthropological like ways of learning about things. So I think that's going to be a good fit for her. So this is different than the other video I made, but I think the content's relatively similar, if not almost identical, except for that special AP practice. So, and then these are the secondary resources that they'll be reading from. I adopted the sample syllabus, so we will be following that exactly. So all of these readings are in there, and I think there may be one other textbook that is available online for free on archive.org. So that's why I don't have it. So that is AP African American History, which she will be taking. Next, for her elective, she will be doing River of Voices, volumes 1 and 2. This is from Blossom and Root. And it is United States history, but it is a different perspective. So I'll show you the books for that. We've got, this is a Young People's History of the United States by Howard Zinn, A Different Mirror for Young People by Takaki, and Indigenous People's History of the United States for Young People. There's also, I don't know what it's called, but it's like the LGBTQIA version of this book, that History of the United States, if you're interested. And The Making of Asian America. This is a optional book for volume 2. So she was really interested in, there's another course, it's called like Race and Power, but it was only for a semester. And like I said, she is a voracious reader. So I thought that this would be a good, like a similar substitute for that, but more in depth. And like I said, she is really maxing out on those like cultural anthropology, humanities, ethics, and AI, like history of fairy tales, learning about different cultures. So the things that we're doing for her really reflect those things. I want to jump back real quick to the AP African American Studies. I forgot to show you guys. I built out, I tried to, I haven't cross-referenced this yet, but I used the sample syllabus with ChatGPT to build like a schedule. And so this is Freedom on My Mind. So for example, week 1, it says read that, and then there's no secondary source, and there's a skill focus. And so you'll see, for example, there's like the secondary source follows Flash of the Spirit aesthetics. And then prior to that, there's like the ocean trade routes. And this is all based off of the syllabus. So in theory, it should mirror it. So for example, week 4, we're reading Freedom on My Mind, chapter 1. And then the secondary reading is Flash of the Spirit, chapter 1, and African Religions and Philosophy. I think this is the one that's available online because I don't remember showing you guys that. Read chapter 1, and then the assignment is the comparison chart of learning and belief systems, and then a discussion about cultural syncretism and cosmology, and those are the AP skills covered. And then the other thing that I built out was a AP English language with the Oak Meadow curriculum I showed you, alignment with African American studies. So you have here which items are from Oak Meadow, and then the writing assignments, like how it will meet those standards, and how it like overlaps with the different skills that we're trying to do. So anyway, that's kind of just the random tools I'm working on. And then the last thing I think that I have, and I will consult my checklist so that I don't forget anything. These are the chemistry books that go with the CK12 assignments for Build Your Library, and I'm assuming using this and doing these labs will meet the lab requirements. And again, I say it in every video now. Oh, look, AP recommended experiment. So maybe you could even make this AP chemistry. I'm not going to, but conceptually, that's kind of interesting, huh? Oh yeah, it says suitable for AP Chem Lab. So the AP recommended experiment and the corresponding lab session. This is my first time looking at this, obviously. Lab safety. Let's just see if there's any labs in here. So I'm assuming Build Your Library is going to have the readings assigned or the labs, and I will be supporting that in the way that I can. There are also online labs if you don't want to get copper sulfate pentahydrate in your house, although I'm pretty sure I already have it because I've ordered the CK12 chemistry kit before. Anyway, so that is part of that. Oh, I was going to say keep copies of your lab reports, because ASU in particular requires lists of labs completed, and I've heard that UC San Diego requires actually copies of your lab reports themselves. So keep those on hand. And then this is like the living science, right? So this is exactly one of the things that she likes. And if you watch the video of my 13-year-old, my science-loving 13-year-old, that is her. She read all of those Oak Meadow living science books, and now here we are in 11th grade reading the Build Your Library living science books. So that is everything that I have on deck for 11th grade. Oh, I forgot math. So originally we were going to be doing the Algebra 2 from Matthew C, but we realized that the new digital SAT covers pre-calculus. So that means that in order to get to pre-calculus before taking the SAT the summer of junior year or the fall of senior year, she will need to complete Algebra 2 and pre-calculus. So our current plan is to do the accelerated options of that with Mr. D Math online. And those meet twice a week. So she'll have Algebra 2 twice a week in the fall semester, and then she will have pre-calculus twice a week in the spring semester. So that is the plan. Other plans, she's going to be taking online classes in the summer based on, it depends on what she gets into, but for example, there's one about fairy tales, which is a humanities class. There's one about human geography, and classes like that. I don't remember the other ones off the top of my head, but literally that same vein that she's interested in. She's also taking a class about Roman and Greek mythology through Coursera, and an introduction to the law class through Coursera, and finishing up her Build Your Library level 10. So that's what's on deck for my 11th grader. And if you guys liked my picks, make sure you subscribe, because I do have 9th grade picks coming up and similar content. So thanks for watching.